So if we know that really actually the power is to be normal, actually to actually kind of consider yourself normal and actually take the steps that you can do from being normal. And normal doesn't mean you're not unique. I think people confuse these two languages. It's actually very important to consider that being unique is normal. When was the last time you saw a normal person? In the sense, like of all your friends, like think of one person who's just normal, and you'll realize, once you start thinking deeper into it, even someone who seemed normal at first is not. And if they really are normal, then they're probably really unique because they're rare. Normal people are really rare. Uh, so if you thought of someone who is actually normal, then that person is probably the most unique person there is. But anyways, having said that, so unique is normal. It's our strengths and weaknesses, and you know, but having said that, to consider yourself a normal person means that you don't look at these people who've done these extraordinary things and you're trying to actually be like those people. It is to actually just allow yourself to be who you are and not strive to do epic things by trying to do epic things, but rather actually by doing simple things. And that's what I mean by a normal person. Someone who has a humble approach, because they realize that if they want to have significance in their life, that's actually the best way to do it, and that is actually the secret of how all these people who've accomplished anything of value have gotten there. And whether it's actually someone that you read in history or whether it's a YouTuber, I think people who achieve millions of views, that's a really powerful skill. That's not easy to do. And if you look at people who've left a mark in history, that is a really difficult thing to do. And we try and do these like epic things, but if you read the stories of these people, one of the things that you'll notice is that they actually, for them to become and leave the mark that they did a lot of small things, and those small things accumulated together where it became dust gathered into mountain. And so and to me that concept is really important. I think nowadays we are trying to do something, we find something once and then just have that be the main thing and succeed through it, through that passion and it's effortless because it's something you love doing and because you're extremely talented. So I think nowadays everyone is looking for something that they're extremely talented in, this is like the one area where they're the best in the world. And then when you don't find it, then people get discouraged. Then they try and find something where they're so passionate, where they can't help but just keep doing it. And because they're the best in the world and because they're passionate, it just comes effortless to them. It's just all play. And I'm not going to say there aren't people who don't find that. I think once in a while that does happen. And as I said, there are some people where they might be truly unique or different, but the norm is that even if you are unique, that kind of having that kind of difference is rare. Once in a while you come across people like artists where they're like 8 years old or 12 years old and they create these drawings that are just like something that an adult has been drawing, like a fully matured artist. It's really interesting if you look at these people who have these kind of unique talent, or musicians where it's kind of interesting, they didn't just happen in a vacuum. Oftentimes most commonly what you'll see is that something precipitated that. Either they actually started something when they're younger, and there is such a thing as talent actually, and they were talented but they had parents that actually just really kind of endorsed it, or they were parents that were musical like Mozart, as what you call parents were musical, and so they grow up in this environment. Tiger Woods, I think, had his first club when he was 4. My point here is that these so-called geniuses are not just born in a vacuum. They're born in an immersive environment plus the talent. And That's not necessarily a good thing. If you look at a lot of these people, they get isolated, and they're, they're they feel lonely oftentimes because of this particular talent, and so that's actually not necessarily what you think is going to get you what you want. Because of this deep desire for meaning and significance, we confuse that with having to have high achievement. And really, what allows us to have a deep sense of meaning and significance and impact is being able to be the best version we can be of ourselves. And you may have heard that. And that's probably why you're looking to be epic, and why you're looking to find this one thing you're so good at, and why you're looking for this one thing that you're so passionate at so that you can be yourself. But if you are like most of the populace, most likely you have many different interests and you're good at many different things, but there's always someone who's better than you in something. And that is the normal experience. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that actually defines your uniqueness. The uniqueness is defined by the kind of talents you have that come together, right? And so, just to give a quick example of this, in my case, when I was in college, I had 19 different interests. And I was actually, and that's a bit much. I think I fall under the category of people who have a lot of different interests. I think people typically who have like ADD, or people who have a certain condition of the brain, like to move things from one thing to the other and things like that, and I was one of them. And so like, you don't need to have 19. It's different. Some people are going to have a singular thing. Most people, I found, they have between 3 to 5 different interests. If you're more, then you can have probably 10 or more, but it's a range, and we're all necessary to create a community. But anyways, the reason I'm explaining this is because when I met my teacher, for the first time, I was really challenged. Actually, I'd been considered to be talented in this area of martial arts, and I could get by without having to actually practice too much. So when I met my teacher, I was practicing, and this is not something you should do, but I was practicing 3 different martial arts. I was practicing, tai chi. I was practicing hapkido. I was practicing taekwondo, and then actually, I guess 4. There's something that's called Southern Dragon style. And between practicing these 4 different martial arts, really, I was just kind of what's the word for it? I wasn't really practicing the way a person should practice. I was probably I think it's called dilly dallying. I think it's the expressions are coming to me. But anyways, I was just kind of, and I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the diversity because I like diversity. And when I met my teacher, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up. And for the first time, I was really challenged, and I couldn't fake it, if you will. And I needed to actually buckle down and start practicing. And then I could not meet the standard. And so at some point, I realized that if I wanted to really study under my teacher, Master Chen, I was like, oh, wow, I need to do something differently. So I wrote all my interests. That's how I found out I had 19 different interests. And then I said, I can do this when I'm older. I can do this when I'm older. I can do this later. And then there were 3 things I came down with that actually I realized that I didn't want to give up, because this was like so core to me. And one was basically practicing tai chi was the main thing, but the only other thing that I wanted to continue to keep was to keep reading my scriptures, to keep reading the Bible, and to keep journaling. And so I kept these 3. It was really interesting though, because later on, what I find out is once I started actually doing Tai Chi, it started actually bringing all my other interests together.